Hey guys, before we begin today's video, I just want to give a quick thanks to everybody, actually. I just recently hit 25,000 subscribers, and if you had asked me, like, back in 2022 if I thought I was ever going to reach that goal, I would have said no, but with the growth last year and the continued growth this year, I finally hit 25,000. I'm a quarter of the way to 100,000, and I just want to thank each and every one of you, my YouTube members, my Ko-Fi supporters, and every single subscriber that has subscribed throughout the almost 10 years I've actually been on this platform. So thank you very much. I really do appreciate it.
Boy, where the fuck have you been?
Anyways, hi. I know it's been quite a while since you've last heard from me. And I figured I'd just give you an update as to where I've been, what's been going on. And, you know, obviously the big question on a lot of your heads right now is, where is the big American Dad episode ranking video? And I will make sure to answer all of your questions. So I guess I'll just start with where I've been recently, because I haven't uploaded a video since very late February, early March timeframe. So just to give you an idea, YouTube isn't actually like my main job, my main source of income. I actually have like a 9-to-5 job. I've had it for a few years now. And you know, the work is always kind of changing in regards to what I do. And it's kind of picked up a lot this year in particular in regards to just having a lot more responsibilities and taking care of a lot more things from my end. So, you know, it's just been a bit more difficult to be able to put much more focus into YouTube than I have been in the past, and even then it's kind of less than what I've been doing in 2023. Even with that, I am looking for a new job in the meantime, just because, you know, I want to kind of try something new, you know, move up in the world possibly if I can. You know, just really put myself out there. And you know, the other thing for me is that I recently moved. I moved to a new apartment back in early April. I was trying to move for a while and everything. I just kind of had like a lot of stuff pushing back on me. But then I was like, you know what, fuck it. I gotta make the move at some point. So I just hunkered down. I put a lot of time and effort into it. And I kind of focused a lot of the earlier months this year on getting that move ready. Which, by the way, totally different setup than where I was like the past 3 years. So, you know, obviously it's gonna like maybe sound a little different. I don't know if you'll notice it or if I'll notice it. But you know, you might notice it. I don't know if it's better or worse. You know, let me know what you think in the comments below. So, and you know, even if I'm not releasing videos for a period of time, just know that I am pretty active on social media. I'm active on Twitter. Never gonna call it X because I think I'd die on the inside every time I call it X. I have a Blue Sky account set up. I don't really use it that much, but maybe I'll start being a little more active on it. We'll see. And you know, I also try to make YouTube community posts. I have to be a little better on that. I actually haven't been that great on that either. So I definitely need to do that. And the other big thing that happened recently is I just went to MomoCon this year. Now, for those of you that don't know, MomoCon is a convention held in Atlanta, Georgia, around like Memorial Day weekend every year. It's a 4-day event. I went last year. Last year was my first year, and then I went again this year. And I had a great time. There were so many great panels I went to. Tom Ruegger, the creator of Animaniacs, was hosting a panel, and that was a fantastic one. I even went and got his signature on a photo and a picture downstairs in the Walk of Fame with him. That was a lot of fun. You know, I also saw a lot of great YouTube friends, hung out with them a lot. It's great to see them because that's basically like the only time of the year I see a lot of them. And I saw some of their panels. Offbeat Kiki and Haryana Hook did a great panel on why animated women of color matter. Very, you know, it was great learning a lot of things. Jake Neutron and Team Neutron had a panel just showcasing their upcoming projects, and you know, I continue to be impressed by what they have to show. Like, they're a very talented team, and I cannot wait for what else they have. And then Tumerific Tariq and again Offbeat Kiki had a panel on slice of life cartoons, and if you know me, you know I love me some slice of life cartoons. I love me some King of the Hill. I love me some Bob's Burgers. Hey Arnold. You know, I actually don't mention this a lot on the channel, you know, but I like these kinds of shows. I think they're a good, like, relaxing kind of show to watch. And another big thing was this big get together of the indie animation community. There was an indie animation panel one of the days, and it was great meet and greet. You know, I'm in a server with a lot of these people, and you know, putting a name to a face puts a lot of things in perspective. You know, it really like kind of lets you see these people as like humans who kind of have to go through the same struggles that we do, despite the fact that they can make these amazing creations. It's fascinating to see them in person, you know? And I'm really glad I was able to meet so many of them. And just, it felt like a real community. It felt like a real great community. You know, through all of that, I also met a lot of great people. You know, I've collabed with people like BH Ultra and Wacky Dilly before, and I've watched the videos of people like Switchy and the Glad and Gladiator. And, you know, for the first time, the 5 of us were together, and we were just like, let's go watch the Garfield movie. And that was really fun. I had a fun time with that group, and I look forward to seeing them again next year if they're coming back, which I'm hoping they come back. It was a lot of fun hanging out with them. You know, I got a content creator badge. They started doing this thing this year where content creators, if you sign up and you're accepted, you kind of get like free admission. They gave me one. I was accepted. Probably not the best idea because, as you can see from this photo, I did not realize the ribbon is supposed to go on the side, so I put it on the bottom at first, like an idiot. But I figured it out, and I put it on the side for the remainder of it. I also cosplayed. You know, if you can tell who I cosplayed as, you're a true dadder. I did 2 cosplays, so, you know, let me know in the comments if you know. Should be pretty easy. And yeah, that basically is it. It was great seeing so many great people again. It was great meeting a lot of new people. I can't wait for MomoCon 2025. I'm definitely going to go back next year. Hopefully they figure out the whole thing with the escalators to the bottom floor this year. And if you're at MomoCon this year, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you weren't at MomoCon this year, don't worry about it, because it doesn't bother, it won't bother you, but ooh, it bothered me. It bothered me a lot, and it bothered a lot of other people. So I kind of hope they figure that out. And if you're interested, I might host a panel next year. I'm thinking about it. I have a really fun idea topic that is not something I've really ever talked about before. It's still in the realm of animation, but you know, it's kind of a little more abstract in a way. But you know, let me know if you would want to see me host a panel at MomoCon 2025. I would totally be down for that. Okay, so now is the part of the video that I bet a lot of you are wondering about. Where is the Big American Dad ranking video?
Well, we're waiting.
I kind of want to give you an idea of the process that I took in the process that I'm taking still in making this video. I've already seen every episode. I saw every episode before I even thought about doing this project, and I continued to keep up with the show all the way to the end of the current season. So I didn't really need to watch it again. That being said, I did rewatch the whole series again. You know, I had to be thorough. There's some episodes I hadn't seen before for a very long time. So I really wanted to make sure that I was as thorough as possible. So I rewatched the whole show and I took notes. And then I rewatched the show again.
Hey pal, you just blowing from Stupid Town?
That was a mistake. See, my process was watch it one time, get the preliminary notes. Watch it a second time, get the notes kind of like figured out, and then get the script intact. Oh boy, I underestimated how much work that was going to be. Because see, I didn't watch the episodes twice in a row. No. I watched the whole series once, and I'm still kind of sort of watching through the whole series now on the second time. So, ooh, that was my bad. But I kind of already like bit the bullet on it, and I'm just gonna finish what I was doing. So, sorry about that. I'm taking full responsibility for that. I've never done like something of this caliber before. Even the Ace Attorney video, which is my longest video to date. With this, I kind of have my full undivided attention. Even then, I also have a bunch of friends who are going to be making some cameos in this video, talking about some stuff. They have all given me their stuff by now. They're all good to go. I'm not waiting on any of them. It's all on me right now, so it's none of them. Just want to make that clear. None of them are holding me up. Everyone was timely. They got me their stuff plenty of time, and they were very friendly, and they were very helpful, and I really look forward to you hearing the stuff that they have to say. Other than, you know, my friends' parts, which, you know, they recorded. I'm still editing them. And the artwork, like the thumbnail artwork and any additional artwork, which is done by the amazing Wells on Twitter. They basically did every single thumbnail for all my videos in 2023. And they had a part in all my thumbnails in 2024, except for the supercuts for both years. But, you know, those are just compilations. And they continue to be amazing. They continue to be like, there's no words to just describe how helpful they've been throughout this entire process and how great they've been. Like, literally, follow them on Twitter, commission them, if their commissions are open, because they literally have, they're so talented. They're just amazing artists. Like, I say this all the time, on my Discord server, and, in my, on Twitter, and, you know, whenever I can, but I really can't, like, I can't express enough how great they are. Like, they're just so good at the art. But anyways, other than the art and the stuff my friends are doing, this is all like a one-man job. I'm watching everything, I'm recording everything, I'm writing everything, I'm audio editing everything, I'm editing everything, all by myself. You know, and that's not like because no one wants to help me. I'm sure if I could hire an editor, no problem. But I really want to do this on my own. I want this to kind of like be my project, my vision, my creation. And I'm sure an editor would help with that. But like, I feel like I definitely want this to be my thing, my baby for the most part, or for all of it. Yeah. I don't really want anyone else to edit it. Not because again, I'm sure they do a great job, but you know, I think I really do want this to be my project. I might run some things by some friends or something, but for the most part, I mean, it's really all just me. And honestly, you know, the turnaround for editing is not super bad. The biggest thing right now is the hurdle of like getting all the script work done. which it's still not done, by the way. I want to make that clear. The script work is still not done. I'm trying to be as in-depth with this as possible. I love the LS Mark videos where he ranks all the stuff. Like, kudos to him. I have no fucking idea how he watched all of regular show and did a video in like 3 days, even 5 days. Fucking madman. He's got sonic speed or something. I don't know. But I really, his is definitely, I'd say, more of like a smaller general look at the episodes and then kind of ranking them, which is fine. I think that's a fine way of looking at it. But I really do want to make mine kind of like a pseudo thing between that and like a little more in-depth, So I do want to give them a little more in-depth. I want to give them a little more something. So, I'm trying my best to make it a little bit more unique, a little bit more in-depth. And if it comes out more like a Mark video, so be it. And I apologize to Mark if it does, which I'm sure, by the way, he's probably going to get his video out before I am at this point, knowing his schedule with these big ranking videos, because if his is coming in June, which it probably is, by the way, I don't know if I'm going to make that, but I guess that then leads to the next thing being, when is this video coming out? So just to give you an idea, right now I'm in the second round of scripting, and I want to give you an idea of like how massive this fucking monster script is, okay? The first 6 seasons took up 55 pages. Just the first 6 seasons, and like a small intro that took up 2 pages. Now, for comparison's sake, the 4-hour Ace Attorney video, the over 4-hour Ace Attorney video, that is 72 pages long. 72 for 4 hours. And again, just to season 6 of American Dad, this script is page 55. This is gonna be a fucking long video. So I hope you're all strapped in. So when is this video coming out? I really don't want to give a solid answer, because at this point I keep saying when it's gonna come out, and it doesn't come out, and I feel bad every time. That being said, I would like to shoot for late July or early August. That is what I'm shooting for. I would like that to be the case. I cannot make any promises. If I'm done before that, I'll let you know, and everybody wins. If I'm done after that, I apologize in advance. I really do, but I really do want this to be something special. And just for the record, I am working on other videos too. Those are kind of like in the very early stages, but they're there. So that way, once this big video is done, maybe after like a month or 2 break, just to recuperate, just to relax for a little bit. We'll hopefully be back on a regular schedule. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. If you have any other questions or comments, please feel free to leave them for me. And in the meantime, I don't want to leave you all high and dry. So, to thank you very much for your extended patience with this video, I'm going to show you an extended sneak peek of the big ranking video. And that doesn't mean 5 minutes. That doesn't even mean 10 minutes. I am going to show you the 90% edited entirety of the first season of this video. If you just skip to this part of the video right now, well then you're in for a treat, because this is now the extended sneak peek of the big every episode of American Dad ranking video. The entirety of season 1. Enjoy. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go back to working and or playing Paper Mario. Here we are, the very first episode of the whole show, and what did I think about it? It's okay. Not great, to be honest. start. To be fair, I think it's really hard to judge a series based on its pilot episode, given that it's tasked with setting up the general foundation of what the show is going to be about. Very few shows out there truly have the perfect pilot, and American Dad is no exception. The biggest problem is that there's just way too many things going on in 22 minutes.
Dad, why is Hillary Duff in our house?
Hillary is here of her own free will because she wants to have dinner with Steve.
Hillary, could you pass the salt?
Pass him the salt.
You basically got 3 separate plot lines that are being followed, and even then, the A-plot can't decide what it wants to try and accomplish. The story starts out relatively simple, with Steve wanting to ask out Lisa Silver, the popular cheerleading girl, and Stan trying to help him out, but it quickly devolves into a mess of things, including getting an old dog as a conversation starter. It's not until the story shifts to Steve going for student body president that I think the story really picks up and starts to get a bit more cohesive. But by that point, the episode is already halfway over. I'd also forgotten how many things are introduced here that are basically forgotten very soon after. Like, I remember Klaus's big thing in the beginning was him being really horny for Francine, something that was basically his whole character trait for a little bit. But it had completely slipped my mind that apparently the threat of Roger leaving the house was originally just the family getting their memories wiped instead of being killed. Now, none of this is to say the episode is completely unenjoyable, far from it. I still think it's very funny. And it does a good job setting up the roles that each of the family members play in the series, as well as the general political tone that it's trying to pull off in its early years.
Attention! There's a new school policy. Anyone caught holding hands, hugging, or swapping saliva will be expelled from school permanently.
It's too risky right now. I'll come back tonight.
There's even a surprisingly wholesome moment at the end of the episode with Steve and Stan that I had forgotten about. I do like bits and pieces of this episode, but a lack of structure and messy focus definitely hold it back from a much larger potential. Bottom of the list. But also top of the list. And technically also the middle of the list. Thankfully, this episode is a massive step up from the last.
This is not soup.
After a health scare that almost takes the entire Smith family's life, Francine laments about what she's done with her life, and wishes that she had accomplished more. When she sees how productive a real estate agent she is, she decides to try and become a real estate agent, only for Stan to try and hinder her at every turn when he finds out that she makes more money than he does at the CIA. While the pilot does a good job giving us an idea of who the characters are, Threat Levels does a much better job at fleshing out the characters and strengthening relationships. It's here that we start to see the beginning of Stan's ideal 1950s American world, where he's the breadwinner and Francine is the loving housewife, and quickly shifts that perspective to further establish both Stan and Francine's characters. I can also appreciate how, despite being set up for Stan to learn his lesson at the end of the episode, he instead learns nothing and abuses his CIA influence to get what he wants anyways. I know a lot of people are probably turned off by that, so I can see why they wouldn't want to keep watching the show. Their loss. The biggest thing this episode has going for it is its comedy, and honestly, I think it's pretty damn funny.
This guy, he grew up in the bayou, living with alligators, wrestling with alligators. I call him the Aviator.
It loses a bit of steam in the end when the focus shifts to bum fighting, but otherwise a very good time, top of the list. Also, I know the show is a lot different now than it was when it first started out, but for a show whose whole premise was based on the disapproval of the Bush win and presidency in the 2000 elections, it's very funny that there's only 2 Trump jokes in this entire show. And they're both in this episode. That's gotta be a good sign, right?
How dare I? How dare I? I'm sorry, I was at the shooting range this morning and I left in my earplugs. Did you say how dare I?
This is another pretty solid one. We really start to see the beginning of Stan and Haley's relationship in this episode, something that was prominent in its politically charged early days. After Stan goes too far with one too many arguments, Haley decides to move out and live with her new beau, Jeff. Things go awry, however, when it turns out that Jeff lives out of his van, and Haley has a hard time adapting to the new lifestyle. It gets worse when Stan cuts her off financially, so she has to take up a stripping job. Meanwhile, in the B-plot, in an attempt to one-up his friends in a bet, Steve has Roger pretend to be Haley so that he can get a girl to go out with him to the dance through sympathy. I actually had forgotten that Roger wasn't always the sociopathic, narcissistic psycho that we all know and love, and started out as this run-of-the-mill sitcom alien character that was basically stuck in the house and played off of Alf.
He's back! In pod form!
Where he was supposed to be giving the other family members advice, but instead, he just kind of kept messing up their lives. I'm very glad that they went with the direction they did in later episodes. It really helped redefine his character and the entire show. But at the same time, I like how human he feels in these early episodes. Here, he's just so self-conscious about how he looks, and gets giddy when people think that he's not ugly. It's surprisingly wholesome.
Stan, you're so stressed. You want me to make you happy with my mouth?
Yeah, I guess so.
I'd say the episode falters in its stance on stripping. I'm not even saying it takes a stance I disagree with. I understand this episode was written in 2005, so it's probably not going to be the best take out there. More so, I don't think they knew what they wanted to say.
All they do is show their breasts, and men hand over hundreds of their hard-earned dollars.
I remember now. I was gonna be a civil engineer.
Well, as to quote Camille Paglia, these ladies are sexual conquerors, controlling the channel between nature and culture. Take it off, bitch!
My dad didn't support me either. That's why I started stripping. Me too.
Same here. Yeah. Plus my uncle touched me.
There's other contradictory scenes like this, so I'm not really sure what to take away from it. Still, a pretty enjoyable episode, going in the middle of the list. This is another fun one. They took an idea of something that's been done to death 1,000 times before, that being Stan forgetting their wedding anniversary, and they were able to add their own little twist to it.
Oh, I forgot our anniversary. I'm never gonna do that again.
After Stan forgets their wedding anniversary, he uses CIA technology to try to make Francine forget, but accidentally goes too far and makes her think the year is 1985. They spend the rest of the episode trying to get her to remember, but with no luck at every turn. This episode does a great job at showcasing the sides of Stan and Francine that we hadn't really seen before, as well as the moment that they met, and it's cool to see these characters with such opposite personalities being able to bond and find a connection, as well as see them act outside of their pre-established traits. It's especially the case for Stan, where we get to see a much more soft side to this otherwise gruff exterior. You can feel the love between these two, something that, while tested in future episodes, I don't think ever gets really as bad as other animated marriages have gotten over the years. Or maybe I'm misremembering things, but we have a bit of a ways to go before we get there.
My mother stole my boyfriend!
Your boyfriend stole my wife. Let's get back at them by dating each other. Wait a minute. Daddy didn't think that through.
Meanwhile, in the B-plot, in an attempt to try to hook up with the popular girl, Steve convinces Roger to date her friend, who turns out to be a really, really ugly girl. There are some funny bits here and there, and this is the first time we see Roger in one of his disguises. But I'm getting a little tired of all the B-plots revolving around Steve trying to get some action. Like, yeah, that's a big part of his character throughout the show, but he's much more multifaceted than that, and I hope we get to see more sides of the character soon.
Did you see where they went?
Who?
The black guys who did this.
Even with that though, this is easily the top of the season for me so far. I think the A-plot saves it for me. I'd be shocked if anything topped it.
You bitch! 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 Bitch!
Yeah, they sure knew how to write female characters back then.
Spoke too soon. Roger Codger's a great episode. For the first time, it feels like there's an episode where the entire family is not only involved, but also feels like they play a relatively significant role. After thinking Roger has died, Stan disposes of the body. Turns out that he was alive, and now has to find a way to get home. It's crazy that we're 5 episodes into the show, and it's only now that we're really delving into the fact that the family is harboring an alien. Roger being the central focus of the episode is great, since he's mostly been sidelined for gags and B-plots. We get more insight into his character at this time, and it just further proves how much more human he is in these earlier seasons, thinking of the Smiths as his family. We get yet another Roger disguise, and he even teams up with this kindly old lady. Wow, she's so nice.
That's for freeing the slaves, you loving Yankee devil!
And suddenly things turned ugly.
Everyone else is great here too. Stan vying for his boss's approval, which, by the way, I didn't mention in the last episode even though that's when he was introduced, but Patrick Stewart does an amazing job as Deputy Director Bullock, and will continue to serve as a highlight for the show. Anyways, after disposing of the body, he starts to feel upset over the loss, something that he's not used to due to his upbringing, his borderline toxic masculinity, and the workplace environment that he inhabits where showing emotion of any kind is seen as a weakness. This is all compounded by the fact that Steve disowns him for being so heartless towards Roger. It's great seeing this more sensitive side again, and it plays a big role in the end, where he actually sheds a tear over the idea of killing Roger. Meanwhile, Francine, who had been teaching an in-home Bible school for a bunch of neighborhood kids up until that point, loses her faith in religion after she finds out that Roger can't get into heaven due to the fact that he's a, quote, pet. And Haley does what she can to help her mom rekindle her faith, even if it clashes with her viewpoint. There's other aspects I haven't even mentioned, like we finally get the full picture as to how Stan and Roger met, and how Roger saved his life in Area 51, something that we'll get back to later on. Don't really know what else to say, it's really just a great episode.
No, former dad!
Nobody threatens my family. Now get out of the way or I'll shoot you all.
And that's the last time I buy pre-washed spinach in a bag.
Ah, so Laura, you had an abortion in college.
What?
This is a very weird one to talk about. So Francine wants to host a party to reconnect with her neighbors, and asks Stan to be fun and chill, with which he complies. Until they get to inviting the new neighbors, Bob and Linda Mamari, who happen to be Iranian. Stan goes full right-wing CIA mode and automatically assumes that they're terrorists. And the rest of the episode is just him trying to prove it in more and more outlandish ways.
Very nice. I wish Francine kept hers this clean. Aha! What have we here? Tic Tacs.
Doctor! Why are you going through my purse?
It gets so out of hand that he straight up locks them and the rest of their neighbors in a makeshift detainment camp in their own backyard. Okay, so like, from an initial glance, this episode seems to be wildly Islamophobic. And based on just my general description of the episode, I wouldn't blame you for thinking so. However, I think the episode does a good enough job really nailing into your head that Stan is 100% in the wrong here with his prejudices. Like, what he does is so completely over the top, and in the end he does learn his lesson, which normally isn't really necessary for a show like this. But when your commentary is this on the nose, it's kind of important to be able to drive your point home, which luckily this episode does. Kind of.
But I gotta say, even though Stan's a suspicious, xenophobic vigilante, he's still 100 times better than our last neighbors. They were black.
What the fuck?
I can appreciate how this episode solidifies that Stan's stupidity isn't on the same level as other adult animated male leads, and stems from more general ignorance, which gives the show a much more unique flavor. This is also the episode that starts off the multi-season arc of the Golden Turd, but I already talked about that ad nauseum in another video. So if you're wondering what I thought about that more in depth, check out that video here. A very solid start to a classic American dad bit. Episode's pretty good too. Gonna put it under Roger Codger. I don't know. This one never really hooked me. In order to one-up his neighbor, Stan tries to become the church's new deacon. I don't know why we're given another foil for Stan just 2 episodes after we were introduced to Duper, a much better and more natural foil, but whatever I guess. There's just not a lot here to really get me into this one, you know? It's nice to establish just how important Christianity is to a man like Stan, but that's something that should have gone without saying. They also double down on a lot of the Bush administration stuff here with characters like Karl Rove, which are either going to find extremely funny or have no idea who he is.
What if I told you it contained a horrible ingredient? An unholy ingredient.
Unholy, you say? anything else?
Where does your food go?
Basically, they use Roger to sort of convince everyone to vote for Stan for Deacon. They do it in a really cruel way, and it's pretty gross too. Like, I'm not one to get super squeamish with a lot of stuff, but this one was straddling the line. Oh, and of course, you can't forget the jabs at right-wing conservatism as well. So it's a good thing they used this episode to get Steve pregnant. I did not read that wrong.
You know, a pregnant boy still has the right to choose.
Not in this house, he doesn't. We're conservatives, and the one way we don't like to kill things is that way.
I don't know, it's fine, I guess, but kind of a lame ending to the first season. Putting it right above the pilot, still had some enjoyable scenes and a focused plot.
So what if Chuck White is Deacon now? So what if he has a bigger paycheck and a better car and a nicer house? None of that matters, because I've got...
And with that, we've wrapped up the first season of the show. Going into this rewatch, I was pleasantly surprised. I'd always tricked myself into thinking that season 1 was one of the weakest of the show, but there are some surprise hits in here, and they managed to pull off some genuine emotion. Definitely hasn't found its identity yet. There's still a bit too many cutaways and TV gags that don't do it any favors. And I know that future seasons are going to be a lot better in regards to their general output, so by proxy, I was kind of right in thinking that season 1 is probably going to be one of the weaker seasons overall. Still, like I said, genuinely surprised with the overall amount of quality. Now, going into season 2, technically speaking, these next 16 or so episodes are considered to be in the same batch as the first season, which does play into the seasonal discrepancies that I had mentioned earlier. So let's see if it's more of the same, or if it's able to start branching out and becoming its own thing.
Oh, for God's sake, somebody pay Mr. Trump!